Hi, this is Kristen from the Pros and Cons team, and today I'm really excited to talk to you about the pros and cons of the dual immersion program. So, to start off, in college, I had the opportunity to teach in the dual immersion program as a substitute teacher. So, I speak Portuguese, and I did that a lot, and then sometimes I was the English side of like a Chinese or a Spanish class. So, I had a lot of opportunity to observe these kids that were in the dual immersion program, and I hope that you enjoy my list of pros and cons. And if you have kids in the dual immersion program, please comment below any pros and cons that I may have missed. So, to start off, I love that the kids that excel normally in school get an extra challenge with the dual immersion program. So, I noticed when I was doing normal classes that there was always those few kids that would get done with every assignment super fast, that would be coloring a lot of the day because they were bored and they were done, and they would often be talking to their neighbor because why not? You're done with your work. So these kids were the ones that really excelled in the dual immersion program because it gave them an extra challenge. And then they left grade school practically knowing another language because they were excelling at a lot of things. So I really liked that. Another thing that I loved about the dual immersion program was for the kids that had English as a second language. If the dual immersion program encompassed their native language, it was amazing. So normally these kids have a really hard time integrating with the English speakers, not because they're being bullied, but because there's a language barrier and it's really hard to communicate. And so a lot of these times these kids become really quiet and try to find friends that way. So when they were in the dual immersion programs, though, they were the star of the show for half the day, because all of a sudden the English speakers were the ones that were uncomfortable and didn't know what to do, and then the other side, like the other part of the day, then they could have all the English speakers helping. So I really loved that with the dual immersion. Another thing is you get another language, which I talked about with the students that excel, but that is super handy to have for the rest of your life. And some of the cons of the dual immersion program is if you do not excel in the language, or you don't learn the language very well, you struggle in other subjects. So one time I was teaching a fifth grade class, and I was teaching them some math, and I went to this girl that looked like she was really struggling, and I started speaking to her, and I could tell like everything I was saying was going over her head, and the way she was just sitting in her chair, you could tell she just felt so stupid, and it broke my heart because I was like, you think that you're stupid, but really you're just struggling with the language, and this would probably come really easy, like this math and English or science, but because you struggle with the language, you're struggling with all the subjects. And that's what's hard, is like in normal classes you can struggle with math, but you can excel in English and science, whereas with these classes it's a little harder to excel if you're struggling with the language. So that's something I did not like. I don't like that a lot of times the kids don't take advantage of this situation. So a lot of times you can tell the parents are the ones that want their kid to learn language, and the kid could care less. There was a lot of classes, well, one class in particular, that there was a group that really did not want to learn the language, and they just kind of hung together and like spoke English, and they really did not speak the language very well, and they were in fifth grade, so they had one more year. And I was like, wow, you have wasted a lot of your time. And if the kids don't have a desire to learn language, it really isn't going to be a benefit because they're not going to learn language. It does take a lot of work. Another thing is it can be a little bit emotionally hard, especially for the younger kids. So I was teaching a first grade class, and I was talking to this boy at the end of the day and telling him something, and he thought he was in trouble, and he burst into tears. And I was like, oh, no, you're not in trouble. And I was trying to explain in Portuguese that he wasn't in trouble, and he just started sobbing more and more and more. And I was like, I don't know what to do, because they really don't learn the language very well for those first couple years. And so they can think that they're in trouble because all of a sudden somebody's speaking to them, and it could sound like they're angry. And I remember finally just speaking to him in English, and that was the only way I could calm this little first grader down because he was beside himself. So that's like another con, is it can be kind of hard for those younger kids because let's face it, like it's hard to learn a new language, even for adults, emotionally, but to be in a class where you don't understand anything can be really hard for a little grade school student. Another thing that is a con is a lot of kids, like they may go through 6th grade, learn language really well, and then never use it again. And if you don't use a language, you're going to lose it. So that is a negative to the dual immersion program, because you're spending so much time. They're getting behind a little bit in other subjects to exceed later, but succeed, sorry. But it's hard if you're not going to use language, like you wasted all that time. So that is some of my pros and cons. Again, if you have any comments about pros and cons, please leave it below, and like and subscribe. Talk to you later, friends. Bye.